We have a new superstar in the world of strongman, the first ever winner of World's Strongest Man from Africa. So we're asking the question, who the hell is Rayno Nel? I can't believe you made me say that. I apologise firstly to Rayno and everyone else out there.
Oh, it rhymes.
It does indeed. But yes, Rayno Nel from South Africa is our new winner of the World's Strongest Man. What a week it must have been for him.
Yeah, incredible. And in doing so, in winning that competition, he just broke down so many barriers at the same time. So not only is he the first man from Africa to win, he's the first man who isn't from North America or Europe to win the World's Strongest Man. He's the first man since 1997 when Yuko Ahla won the World's Strongest Man on his debut. It's been years since we've seen that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big shock. And I know you were talking a big game, a lot of other people were talking.
To be fair, though, I wasn't talking about him winning.
No, I think that's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
I was kind of like wanting to see what he's like in a higher level of competition because we have seen him in South Africa's Strongest Man, in Africa's Strongest Man. He's been in Champions League competitions. And really, we should have paid more attention to how well he'd been doing.
I was.
I know. But... And I stand by this, we hadn't seen him against the very, very best guys in the world. However, when you look at the progress this man has made in a very short period of time, he really is, firstly, a freak of nature, a fantastic athlete, and someone that is progressing extremely fast. But strongman is exciting, and I think we always need that excitement in terms of rivalries to get us all invested, because when an athlete starts to dominate and win everything, it can become a little bit boring.
So let's first then go into a little bit the history of Rayno's competitions. So he's only actually competed in 7 international/national competitions and he's won 6 of them. So the only one he didn't win was his first international, which was the Siberian Power Show. He is currently on a win streak of 5, and in the 3 Strongman Champions League competitions that he did last year, he completed a total of 16 events. He won 12 of them.
That's a very impressive total because although maybe the standard isn't quite as high as, say, like the Arnold or World's Strongest Man, you do still get some fantastic athletes in those competitions.
Specialise.
And Strongman Champions League have a varied amount of events.
Yes, they do.
They don't tend to repeat events.
No.
You often see different events, and he's showing his ability to be adaptable, firstly. That's very important when it comes to Champions League, because they often don't know the events kind of too quickly. And yeah, I mean, he's learning his trade quickly and fast becoming one of the top guys in the world.
So let's have a look then at his journey through the World's Strongest Man competition to see how he came out with this incredible win, starting of course in the heats. So when the groups were first announced, Group 3 was so interesting to me because it had the least amount of former World's Strongest Man finalists. It was just one in Mateusz Kieliszkowski. But it really felt like such a heartbreak group when you looked at some of the new names in there, because as well as Rayno now, we had Lucas Hatton, who most recently came 2nd at the Arnolds. We know what an incredible strongman he is. Shane Flowers, who's great at these types of events. Mateusz, as we already mentioned, and Evans Nana too, who has some great events. So we knew it was going to be probably an upsetting group because you want more than 2 of those guys in the final.
Of course, and that's always the thing with Worlds. Groups are very important. There's a lot of people were looking at Group 3 as potentially a real slugfest.
Yeah, but it just didn't work out that way, I guess, did it? Obviously, Mateusz wasn't well on the day. Lucas wasn't quite his normal self. Not great events for Lucas either in the heats.
No, Lucas is a powerhouse, and the more athletic type events he's not so keen on. Still works hard, but Lucas is going to be someone we look out for at the Arnold Strongman Classic. I think the final of World's Strongest Man would have been good for him.
If he was in the final, I'm sure he would have been on the podium.
Strongest man on earth, obviously, a contest that's super heavy, very suited to Lucas. However, World's Strongest Man, you need that strength, but you need that athletic ability as well. And Rayno proved that right off from the start. It was the loading event. Shane Flowers took the win on this one. Shane, a very fast athlete, but Rayno, solid first start at World's Strongest Man, taking 2nd place in his first event.
So then they moved on to the deadlift for reps, and Rayno was in the last heat with Shane Flowers. Now, the best we'd seen in that group was 7. And that's with very strong, like Lucas Hatton is a great deadlifter. We saw him at the Arnold UK a couple of years ago do 350 kilos for 8 reps, I think it was.
Yeah, he tied with Bobby Thompson in that one.
Yeah, but Rayno went on to win the deadlift in this group with 8 repetitions. And at that point in the competition, it was the most we'd seen out of the groups that had gone so far.
Overhead medley, he took 2nd place. Lucas Hatton in this group is going to be very hard to beat Lucas on an overhead. But again, showing that consistency. 2nd, 1st, 2nd in the first 3 events at World's Strongest Man.
So the Titans Toss was a new event this year. One I absolutely loved, by the way, I would like to point out. Yeah, it was really fun. Rayno had never done throwing in a competition up until this point, so it was his first time properly training it. He was in a group with Shane Flowers, who is arguably one of the absolute best throwers in the world. There was a unique spin on this event, of course, but Rayno got 2nd to Shane.
Yeah, and again, showing that consistency. And I mean, we keep talking about consistency. He went on to the Stone medley, which was a fun event as well, actually.
I loved it.
Really, really good. And he was one of only a few guys to finish this in the whole competition, winning his group very comfortably in the end. I think he had the biggest points out of any of the groups. So, like, his points lead in the individual group was the greatest out of all the groups. However, if you put all the groups together, that would have changed.
Yes, and when they did rescore the 10 finalists, Rayno came up with 8 points behind Tom, who had 9, and Mitchell Hooper, who had 10.
Yeah, that's not how the points would have been, but that's how the points went.
No, but that's how it was.
Yes, yeah.
Let's all keep up.
It's a perfect start. I mean, he did what we expected him to be capable of by getting into the final. But as you said, in terms of the overall, Tom and Mitch were still ahead of him, and people were still looking at those two as being the champion. But when it came to the final, this man seemed to go into another gear, and he started off right away with event number 1.
So for the carry and hoist, it was a Zercher carry into an arm-over-arm hoist, and Rayno was in the second to last group with Trey Mitchell, with Tom and Mitch still to go behind him. That's their advantage of scoring better than him in the groups. Rayno put in an incredible time of around 30 seconds. And if you watch it, like when you finally get to watch it properly, you will see he did not waste a split second. His efficiency between implements, with the implements, he didn't put a foot wrong. And we were sat there saying, I just don't think that can be beat. I don't see how it can be beat. And we were right, because the next closest to him was 4 seconds slower.
And the next closest, I mean, the last heat was Tom and Mitch, and they had a great battle. It was real back and forth. Both of them put in, you know, really good performances.
Yeah.
But like you said, they were 4 seconds slower than Rayno. He absolutely annihilated everyone in this event and just put the foot down and said, you boys can battle it out, but I am here to win this title. So event 2 in the final was the 18-inch deadlift. Now, an interesting thing to look here is that they used a different bar than they used a few years back, where Alexei Novikov set the record on this. So numbers were a little bit down on what people were expecting. However, this has to be said, it was a harder setup than they did a few years back.
Yeah.
And Rayno, again showing his deadlifting ability, not just from the floor, but from 18 inches as well, taking 2nd place outright. The only man to beat him was Trey Mitchell. I do want to point out to Trey, maybe not the fastest, maybe not the best grip, but my God, when it comes to static strength, that man is a beast.
Yeah. Trey was incredible at the static events.
He was. But Rayno, once again, showing that he's got every single thing you need to have to be a great all-round strongman. Huge deadlift, taking 2nd place, 490 kilos. Outright 2nd place as well. There was a few guys tied for 465 kilos. And as we said, Trey Mitchell took the win with 500.
So the last event on day 1 of the final was the Hercules Hold. And again, this was an event that he hasn't done before. We didn't really know what to expect of him. You said you'd shaken his hand and you felt like it was strong.
Well, you kind of just know when you kind of feel someone's hand, you know if they've got a strong grip.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I was like, this guy's grip's strong.
Yeah.
You know, Eddie Williams taking the win on this one, has a phenomenal grip, by the way.
Yeah.
But Rayno, 2nd place once again, and by this point he's kind of dominating the competition.
Yeah, he was. He had a massive lead at this point. So one thing that's really interesting, I've seen quite a few comments online, because Eddie was 2nd out on the Hercules Hold. So we had that incredible time. I think it was 1 minute 22 seconds, super early as a mark to beat, and no one was coming close. Now Rayno got up to 75 seconds. He was the closest before he let go. And I've seen quite a few comments, oh, I feel like he let Eddie take the win on that event. I don't think so personally. I think he felt it going and he let go so it didn't tear open his hands.
There's no way he let Eddie win that.
Well, why would he have gone so far beyond?
He would have just gone past the second place at the time and stopped. But there's no way that happens. It's just one of those events. Once it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
And that extra point would have made things so much easier for him in the long run. So I don't believe that at all. And you have to give props to Eddie Williams. The guy's grip is phenomenal. Yeah. He is someone that's beaten Mark Felix on Hercules Hold, we should point out.
Yeah, and we should also point out this was a new setup compared to 2020 Hercules Hold. Everyone's saying it was heavier.
Yes, I mean, Terry Hollands tested this. He said it was so much heavier than the Giants one and the one they've used at World's Strongest Man before. So fantastic time and performance once again from the South African. So at this point, he's dominating the competition. I believe he had a 7-point lead
7.5
going into this event number 4, the Flintstone behind the neck press. And this is where he gave us all like a fright, I guess, but also gave the other athletes a sniff that they still had a chance.
Yeah, massively closed the gap.
We had 2 athletes go out right on the opener, and Rayno actually made the opener at 188 kilos look really easy.
Yeah.
Very explosive, very powerful, made it look easy. I was convinced he was going to get 200.
I thought so.
But when he went for 200, he didn't get it. And it shocked a lot of people. And I think maybe pressing is the one slight weakness. I'm not going to say weakness because it's not bad at all. He did okay in the heats. But at that level, it needs to get a little bit better, a bit more tricep strength. But yeah, I was actually shocked that he didn't get the 200.
I had a lovely angle on him from where I was sat, and it felt, I think he could have got it. I think it came away from him a little bit.
Maybe.
It was just out of line, and then he had a fight, and it just went down.
But and the rules of World's Strongest Man this year were that you only get 1 attempt. So sometimes they allow 2 attempts, and it allows someone to kind of get a feel for an event and then come back and correct it. Especially an event like that that's quite technical.
Yeah.
However, just 1 attempt, and he was unable to get it. And this gave the likes of Mitch and Tom an inkling that I still have a chance.
Yeah.
Both of them doing very well on this event, particularly Tom Stockman hitting a 241 kilo lift. Mitch Hooper nearly killing himself and breaking the equipment on the 241. Couldn't quite get that, but still scored good points with the 230. Made the comp pretty close going into the Atlas Stones.
So going into the Atlas Stones, Rayno only had a 2.5 point lead over Tom and Mitch, who were tied for 2nd place. So it was really squeaky bum time. Now, because Tom had beaten Mitch on the Flintstone lift, Tom would be in the last pairing with Rayno because they used the last event rule. So Trey and Mitch went up against each other. At that point, no one, including great stone lifters like Paddy Haynes, Shane Flower, like good stone lifters
really good stone
there.
lifters.
No one had managed all 5 stones. It really is a tough set of stones.
I've seen people kind of saying, oh, these guys should be able to finish the stones easy. Let me point out the stones at World's Strongest Man. Firstly, they're heavy. The last stone is 210 kilos. And many of these guys can lift a 210 kilo stone. But World's Strongest Man set the stones from a distance. So you have to carry the stone to the platform. This is so much harder than just loading it up to your lap and lifting it onto the platform. Drains you much, much quicker. And also, it's the 10th event by this point.
Yeah,
they've done a lot of things. Plus, the heat can kind of make the tacky not stick as well as it would, like, say, as an indoor competition. So there's a lot of factors that come into play when it comes to Atlas Stones. Mitch Hooper, we kind of decided beforehand, if you have any chance of beating Tom, you have to take a risk. He did that. He slipped on the first stone. Actually recovered pretty well and went very quickly through the stones, but then by the 5th one he just had nothing left. Trey Mitchell doing what Trey does, solid run through, one of the best stone lifters on the planet, the first man to lift all 5.
So then we moved on to Rayno and Tom. Now, in order for Rayno to win, if he lifted the 5th stone, he wins. Because Tom had to beat him by 2 full places at least. He needed Rayno to come 3rd or worse.
3 places.
Yeah, 3 places because of the half point. Yeah. So if Rayno lifted the 5th stone, he'd win. If he beat Mitch Hooper's time on 4, he wins also. So they go out. I didn't know.
Tom did exactly what Tom does.
Tom was amazing.
Tom was just amazing, like he always is on stones. Faultless run, threw the stones up like they were balloons.
Yeah.
His stone lifting ability is just on another level. Rayno keeping his head, keeping calm, and this is a very, very important factor when it comes to watching Rayno, and we kind of picked up on it, and everyone else has picked up on it. He's got a great head on him.
He's so
in
cool.
terms of he stays calm under pressure, he performs under pressure. He didn't rush. He focused on executing each stone as well as possible. Got to the 5th stone. He was trying the 5th stone, you know, a number of times, couldn't lift it. And he wasn't sure if his time was quick enough. He did a good run, but it wasn't easy to really tell if he did. I timed it on the side, and I was convinced that he'd just done enough. He was about a second or two faster than Mitch's time. But you could see he wasn't sure until they announced him as the winner of World's Strongest Man 2025. What a story. You know, first time going to World's Strongest Man. He is one of the few athletes that didn't actually qualify for Worlds this year. He was a wild card invite, which, you know, when you see what he won leading up to this year, I'm glad he got the invite.
He deserved an invitation because I think that there were some other anomalies. Lucas Hatton was one of them. Yeah. He won America's Strongest Man, which qualified him for a giant slide, but it doesn't qualify you for Worlds.
I think we should give Strongman Champions League a bit of a shout out here because they are very good.
Marcel will be so proud.
Well, they're very good at inviting new athletes and finding new athletes. They do have a lot of different athletes from all over the world.
Feeder system.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't go on to be, you know, the top guys, but occasionally they do, and they have produced it. I mean, at some point, so many of the top guys have competed at Champions League, and clearly Rayno, he's dominated the shows there, so rightly so, he got this invite as their world champion, and what a story. I didn't expect him to win. I don't think many people can honestly say they expected him to win. But just, you know, that one event, the Flintstone Barbell, is the only event he dropped points on all competition. He performed consistently well, strong, athletic, level-headed, a great all-round strongman. He is the 2025 World's Strongest Man. The big question is, what's he going to do next?
I hope he does the Strongman Classic.
Be interesting to see if he does the Strongman Classic, because none of the winners of World's Strongest Man have gone on to win the Strongman Classic.
No, we've actually only had 3 winners there so far. Yeah. Alexi, Evan and Mitch.
Yes. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does that one.
Yeah.
Strongest Man on Earth will be an interesting show to watch him at. Very, very different to World's Strongest Man. Brutally heavy comp. Speaking to Brian soon to find out more about what's going on with that show. But Rayno has an exciting year ahead of him, and as the World's Strongest Man, as long as he's competing, he will be re-invited to World's Strongest Man for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
He's going to be a staple at World's Strongest Man. We've got the likes of Lucas Hatton, the likes of Mitch Hooper, Tom Stoltman, Trey Mitchell. If they can get, you know, their bodies feeling fit and healthy, the likes of Luke Richardson and Evan Singleton, we could see some good battles in the next year or two.
It's made the sport more exciting, I think, the addition of Rayno, and like hopefully it'll continue, because, you know, some people were saying, oh, it might be a fluke. You don't fluke in a 10 event competition, what was essentially 10 events.
You know, we have seen people that come and just win one comp and then we don't see them win again. I don't think that's going to be the case with Rayno. He just looks like a well-rounded athlete.
He does.
But I'm excited to see more of him for sure. I think it'll motivate the other guys to work harder. We'll see that level keep increasing. I mean, a number of guys impressed me a lot at World's Strongest Man. We haven't even mentioned some of the new names that got there, and that's the exciting thing. We're seeing new people come through. People always ask who's the next big guy to look out for, and I often say sometimes we don't even know.
You don't know until it happens.
Someone will just kind of break through. It could be someone that's kind of there or thereabouts. It could be someone that we don't even know about. But there's always going to be new athletes. And when you say people or see people saying, "Oh, who's going to be the first guy to win 6 World's Strongest Man titles?" It's very hard to say that because the sport changes very, very quickly. 4 years ago, we were thinking Alexei Novikov is going to dominate everything. You know, it changes. Mitch Hooper has had an amazing run. I think he will be back very soon to really push Rayno and the others. But there's going to be exciting competitions, and that's what we need to keep the hype rolling, keep us all excited, and have no idea about who is going to win these shows. Thank you, as always, for watching, guys. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.